Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of Wholeheartedly with Kendall and
Gailey. Thank you guys so much.
All good.
Okay, actually, what just happened right there is so apropos for this freaking week because I feel like Mercury is in Gatorade.
Mercury
it's not
is
in
in
retrograde. It's everywhere. It is, yeah.
Let it out, Gailey. Let it out. Let it out. It's all good. We're here. Support systems.
You guys are my new therapy. So thank you for being here and supporting my mental health.
I think we're all in it together. And before we go into the annals of what is going on, because I see the look on your face, and we do have to have a little chuckle, though, about just to prove that point. Even the yard workers came today right when we're going to film, when they usually don't film. So I love watching these really nice looking men with like leaf blowers just like walk behind you in frame. It's good comedic timing. It is. We'll find a way to laugh through this.
The worst part of the leaf blowers behind me is that I am so obsessive that if I know they're coming, I go out and I blow off the whole yard so that it looks nice when they walk back there and they feel like I'm a really good client. This is also why I can't have anybody cleaning my house, because I would clean deep clean the entire house because somebody is coming over. So the fact that they're back there, not only is it completely unnecessary, but the fact they normally come on Fridays at 3 and it is now Saturday at 11 a.m. right on the dot, cue the huge leaf blowers. It is so apropos for this week. I have no words.
It's ironic. I will say, too, it reminds me so much of my mom. Bless Susie. We love her. CIA Susie. Okay, I grew up petrified of when we would have cleaning people come to the house because the night before was full chaos. Full chaos. She'd be like, everybody, clean up your rooms, put it away. You have to make it. I'm like, Mom, we're cleaning before the cleaning people come. And she goes, honey, they can't clean if there's stuff everywhere, which I do understand this because I finally learned. In fact, I think you were the person that encouraged me to do this, to hire cleaning people for the first time in my life, like 6 months ago. And I realized, wow, I'm an idiot. I wasn't doing this sooner because it takes so much work to constantly stay on top of cleaning. It just like got me ahead in the process. So I get it. But you and my mom are super aligned in that perspective.
I also feel like if I were to hire somebody to clean my house, I would be giving up my therapy. It is my self-soothing, right? And it's part of my rituals that keep me feeling good. So I can't give that up. I can't give up, but I totally support and commend you for doing that, Kendall. Good on you.
Thank you. Well, guess what? When my house is done in Florida, that you are designing anyway, you can come up and clean my house if your house is too clean. And we can do it. And teach me your ways.
Actually, what will happen is if I get there and I see I made these beautiful designs and you haven't perfectly chopped the pillows and laid the throw blanket so it just looks effortlessly thrown across the edge of the bed, I'm going to be like so insulted because I poured my whole heart into that damn house. And if you aren't taking good care of it, friendship is over.
No, I mean, I will take care of it. I will say, though, we might have to do like Instagram content about that. I know how to chop a pillow. It's a very good feeling. In fact, I chop pillows when I get mad. Like Shadow Man will laugh when I make the bed in the morning because I like go up to the pillow and I'm like, ah, and I like get it out. And he's like, babe, how do you have that much rage this early in the morning? Which based off of how crazy this week has been, I have a lot of it. So I know how to chop the pillow, but I need a tutorial on how to throw the blanket. Like, how does one throw a blanket aesthetically? I'm very curious.
It's so funny. I went back to one of my projects with one of my best friends, Carrie. I did her house like 4 phases now. And every time I go, she's like, I know we've been through this before, but I need you to show me exactly how to lay this throw blanket over the edge of the couch because you do it perfect. And I take photos of it. And then every day after the boys move it around, I go back and I try and get all the same creases. And I'm like, yeah, I literally just throw it. You just plop it, but you have to hold it in a certain way for the perfect plop so it looks effortless, but also casual and not too structured. It's a whole thing. This is another seminar and another podcast, but I need to talk about how insane this week has been because I was feeling your energy the entire week. Every time we were supposed to jump on a call or we were texting each other or not texting back at our usual rate, I was like, not only is something up with Kendall, but something is up with me, which means I think something is up in the world. And this is why we need to talk about the chaos that is this week. And I'm not even ready to talk about it yet, but I had one of the worst mornings of my life today. We'll get into it. But let's start this off on a positive note. Can you tell me about your chaos, Kendall? Because I need to get out of mine for a second.
Yeah, so we'll get to the heavier chaos. Mine's just absolute tornado gorgeousness that everything, there's so many wonderful things that are happening, right? So I just launched my newsletter literally last week. Go ahead and sign up at kendalltool.co for now. There'll be more stuff coming. But so I've been designing this thing literally since the day that I left Peloton. And I was already going to be doing a newsletter, but the way the timing worked out, cool. Just like we were always going to do the podcast, but the way the timing worked out, cool. So there's been lots of meetings about that. There's so much like back end design. I will say, spent a lot of time on the aesthetics of this because the newsletter is the first step in all of the other things I'm going to be building and revealing that I can't speak about yet. But those things are going to be really, really exciting. So it all falls under this NKO Club identity, which I'm really stoked for. Anyway, so that was going on. Monday, had like this really cool interview with Forbes. I'm super stoked about that. That's going to be coming out soon. Got to talk all of like the dreams of what's coming next. I felt so excited, really excited for that, right? Tuesday, had to go back up to New York. Shadow Man lives in DC. I'm in the basement in DC. Go up to New York, had a meeting with a really huge potential partner, like big, to the point that I was walking through their HQ and people like looked at me and they did a double take, like, what in the hell are you doing here? Like, it felt like it was Star Wars, and I went from like Darth Vader over to working with Luke Skywalker, and they're like, she switched. It was so funny. It was funny. That's all I can say on it. But it was a great meeting, really exciting. Just love speaking about the things I'm passionate about. That's great. So all of these wonderful things are happening simultaneously. You ready for this? I know you know this because the hurricane that came up. The leak, the damn leak in my roof that got fixed. It got fixed finally after 2 years of chasing my developer. It got fixed last week. Well, guess what? My friend is staying in my place in New York. I had to help her out. The leak reopened. It was a bubble. It literally looked like a milk sack coming out of my ceiling. Like there was some weird alien baby in there. And it starts dripping and dripping and dripping to the point that my friend had to order a tarp from Amazon so it didn't ruin my wood floors. They had just fixed this. So that was like the first chaotic thing. Then it was every single meeting was late. Every single thing that could happen with like the car breaking down or the internet not working or things being pushed. So it's just been one of those chaotic weeks of absolute calamity where everything is supposed to go a certain way and it doesn't. And for the record, Mercury is in retrograde. I don't know if people are into this or not. I'm from California, so I'm well versed. August the 4th, it went into retrograde. It's in retrograde until August the 28th. So hold tight, darling. We're almost there.
Yeah, I'll release the positive breakup story shortly. Honestly, I'm so sorry about your roof leak. I wish I was closer and I'm not in Florida so that I could help you with that. Something about something bad happening to my house makes me feel a level of uncontrol on a whole new level. It's so different. I think because that's like your shelter.
Yes.
Right? So that is your place of safety and security, and it is your sanctuary, and you like come in, close the door, and you shut out the world, the traffic, all of the calamity and noise that happened throughout the day. And now you're in your safe, sanitary, protected place. So when something happens to my home, it sends me into a different level of stress and anxiety that I don't know if other people can appreciate. But I hear about your roof leak and I start sweating, which, by the way, we also need to talk about sweating because I really think that there is a different sweat smell based on the emotion that you are feeling.
Oh, it's so true. Yep.
For example, if I am nervous about to go on stage and give a speech, my armpits are going off, but it does not smell. It smells like nothing. It's odorless, but there's excess moisture, right? I can feel it dripping down off of my elbows, as gross as that is. And then if I am in fight or flight mode because something scary is happening to one of my dogs and like I'm worried about them, or I am about to jump on a Zoom and I'm really scared about how this contract is or isn't going to go with the attorneys, and I'm really, really scared about what they're going to tell me. It is a smell that I don't know how my armpits produce it, but it does not have Gaily anywhere on it. Like, I don't know that smell.
Yes.
I think it goes back to there's got to be something almost, is it animalistic, or where like in your group, right? In your group of cave people, if you go out and you come back and you smell a certain way, and before you can even communicate and talk, right? They can smell you and know that something scary or fearful is happening. And then it alerts the group to like find safety or something. Like there's got to be something, right?
Total. Well, think about it this way. Animals do the same thing. And skunks as well, right? Skunks spray. They have a scent to ward people away when they're hyper activated. So I have the exact same thing that happens. Like when I go through a stressful period, more so than just like general nerves, I'm the same way. I get clammy, like my hands get clammy and my back sweats. I'm lucky that I'm a back sweater. It just goes down my spine straight into my crack. Sorry, guys, but the waterfall of sweat down there. But that's where I sweat when I'm nervous for little things. And it's the same thing. It's moisture, it's odorless, it's not bad. But when I'm hyper stressed or things are crazy, I get into that fight or flight state, right? So that parasympathetic nervous system, everything is alert. You feel like you're being attacked. And I reek. Like, and it comes out of my armpits and it comes out of my hair. Like I notice the oils on my scalp, they smell kind of funky. And it makes a ton of sense, right? Because the body is trying to ward off whatever the threat is. So maybe way back when we were like skunks in caveman times and we would reek so that other predators who wanted to eat us, like the saber-toothed tigers, thought, ooh, it's putrid. It smells like death. I don't want to put that in my mouth. That would be my totally nonsensical, non-scientific perspective of it.
I mean, I definitely would not want to put what is coming out from under my arms in my mouth. So that tracks. However, instinctively, I feel like it's more about warning the group that you are going back to or that you are hunting with that there is danger approaching and you need to seek shelter because that saber tooth is probably going to eat you no matter what you smell like. But the other thing is when I work out, I'll sweat, but it's also odorless. Like I don't get BO when I work out. So when I smell bad, it pretty much means that I am in fight or flight mode and I'm not doing okay.
It's true. I will say too, because I know how you eat and I know that you don't drink, right? So it's interesting when people sweat. Like I remember when I was working at Rumble, I would go around, I would always teach Sunday morning, y'all, even at Peloton, you'd get this a little bit, but we were further away and I had like a Beyonce fan on me. Yes, I know you're hiding behind your hair because I'm like viscerally remembering this scent. I remember Sunday morning in LA, I would teach like the 10 a.m. So it was the time when people who did go out the night before would roll into class to try to sweat out whatever they consumed. I could go bench by bench or bag by bag and I'd be like tequila, vodka, rum. And then you'd always get to one. You'd get to the one that looked the most like miserable, like struggling to be in the class. Their friends brought them there. And you'd walk past them and you'd smell them and you're like, oh, good God, you mixed. Like you had it all because I smelled, and it was so weird because your body is, when you're working out, it's sweating out anything that was kind of toxic in your system.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I made pasta vodka last night for Shadow Man and I. And when you pour the vodka in, it obviously like it separates, right? So the alcohol kind of cooks out of the meal, but you have kind of the flavor sweetness left over. And if you put your head over the pasta, you kind of get a little drunk feeling because you're inhaling the vaporized alcohol. And it's so funny. I was making the pasta and it's ironic you're bringing this up because that is exactly what it reminded me of. Smelling like vaporized alcohol off of people in sweaty situations. So yes, the difference in sweat BO, like working out BO, is just removing like the toxins that are in your system. The fight or flight BO is a whole other level. It's like even like the clinical strength deodorant does not do it for me. Like I douse myself in perfume and waste my expensive like, Maison whatever, or what do I usually wear? I'm not wearing Santal. I refuse. Even though I like the smell of it. It's too overused. Le Labo.
Yeah. I love oils. People will tell me when I go over to their house and pet their dog, like 8 hours later, they'll text me and they'll be like, George's head still smells like you and it smells so good. What is your perfume? And I'm like, well, I'm glad George's head smells like me. I pet him for a very long time. But it's an oil. And what happens is it lasts for an entire day. And it's better for you than perfume. Any oils are better for you as a scent than perfume because there are still chemicals in perfume to try and make it last longer. So an oil is much more natural and they smell amazing. This is not an ad read. I use Ombre Blend. One of my best friends shared it with me years ago. Oh my gosh, AMBRE blends. And I'm telling you, it is the best smelling oil. And I get compliments everywhere I go. And it lasts all day long on my wrists, on my neck. It's where it's at.
I'm literally on the website right now and I'm so into this.
Yeah, there's one with like a blue and one with like a maroon kind of on the front. I think one's called Essence and one's called Ombre. Those are the two best scents. I'm obsessed. This is not an ad. You guys just got free, amazing information.
One of my favorite things about summer is grilling and cooking out and hot dogs and burgers. But something that I always fall into is wanting to have a more nutrient-dense alternative to the traditional breads and buns, which is why I absolutely love Hero Bread. I love the fact that their taste is so fantastic, that it's high in protein and it's low in sugar. The texture is absolutely, I don't know how they do it, to be completely honest. It's amazing that it tastes just like the bread that I know and love, but I'm getting more nutrients in it, which for me and for cooking and how I like to live my life, it makes so much sense. For me, I can't wait when I want a hot dog to use a Hero Bread bun, or even I love their tortillas because I do love a morning breakfast burrito. Add some eggs, add some bacon, add a little cottage cheese spread in there to get a little extra protein, and then boom, the Hero Bread. It is absolutely one of my favorite ways to fuel myself. Enjoy all the treats of summer without compromising flavor with Hero Bread. Get 10% off your order at hero.co and use code WHOLEHEART at checkout. That's WHOLEHEART, WHOLEHEART at hero.co.
But we need to talk about why I needed extra scents to help me out this week because I was smelling real rank all the way up through this morning when I had an awful start to the day. So let's start with Monday, right? Why not? Start of the week.
Was it not the most Monday of all Mondays lately?
The Monday was Mondaying hard. And it started out with me getting a bunch of messages and emails from strangers confirming that they're going to be on my new TV show. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And we already filmed the next show. Like it actually airs tomorrow, on Sunday night on HGTV and HBO Max. But the show, there's not like another season being filmed or cast right now. And so I'm like, how are they possibly asking about a new show? And then I'm saying, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, your casting agency and production team reached out to me on Facebook, or one would be like on Instagram. And I went through like a 2-week long process. I did interviews. I did a tour around my house. I filled out all of the questionnaires. I wrote a huge letter to you explaining why our family and our special needs child really need help making our house, handicap accessible. And also, we need something going into the pool so that he can get his wheelchair into the pool. And we're so excited. And I just, we just wired the money. So I just want to make sure. And I'm going, what in the retrograde is happening? And I'm reading email after email, DM after DM. And basically there are scammers out there who are reaching out to people who are, fans of our show, saying, hey, we're casting for the next season for Gailey Alex's Home in a Heartbeat. Please submit your resume and application here. And then they do this whole thing. And then they say, okay, well, now we need your down payment to go on to the show. And it's going to be a $100,000 renovation. So you'll put $25,000 down. Here's where you wire it, all of this information. And when I tell you they have my signature at the bottom of the contract. They have, as one of my producers, they have her name and signature at the bottom. It looks so official. They have their email address, looks like it's for Home in a Heartbeat casting. Everything looks so well done. And these people are just scamming fans of our show out of tens of thousands of dollars of their life savings. And like, they're getting these people excited and so happy that they got through. Sometimes I get 10,000 requests in a week to do some of these homes. Like, they're not getting through to me and haven't for years. And now all of a sudden they think that they're going to be on the show and they're giving their life savings. And because I do surprise reveals, they don't think it's weird, I guess, that they haven't met me or seen me in the casting, which technically, you know, I physically go and meet the families and I look at the house, and I'm actually doing a lot of the casting myself. So yeah, there would be no reason that you would get on the show without having met me, but they don't know that. And so I'm losing. So I've reported this to Meta multiple times. I've reported this to HGTV and everybody, my agency, everybody is doing everything they can, and we cannot seem to stop these people. And they just keep shutting down their profile and then starting a new one.
And then they'll block you.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're making shell companies to do it. It's like these accounts that they're operating from. That's, oh my God. Can you go to like higher up? Can you go to like the FBI? I don't know. Like there's got to be some type of a federal agency, because it's high level fraud.
I will say God bless our amazing followers, because I had a gentleman reach out to me. Like I posted a story a few days ago saying, hey, if somebody reaches out about casting for our show, it's a scam. Do not block them. Don't talk to them.
Yeah, I saw that post.
Somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, I do this for a living. Like I fight fraud and find scammers using AI. Like send me their email, send me their email address and like the raw email. And I'm like, okay, done. And he's like, I'll do a pro bono just to help out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So send all their information to him and we'll see what he can do with it. But I just want to say I'm so sorry to anybody that is involved in this. And I can't tell you how many people after I posted that story wrote me and were like, oh, I'm so glad you posted this because I'm talking to them right now. And I was going, I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people they're reaching out to. So I hope we can get the word out. And guys, just don't trust anything.
That's oh my God, I'm so sorry, because you worked so hard to build the brand and your reputation. And like you're one of those people that actually follows up with it. It's not like there's no scam. There's no like, this is Gailey publicly, this is Gailey behind closed doors. Like you are exactly who you are. I can attest. I've known you for years. Like you are the last person that deserves to have this happen to. Not that anybody deserves this, but there's so many people out there that are being taken advantage of. And I had a slight experience with this when I was at Peloton, which again shows you kind of the dangers of AI and where regulation needs to happen, because where we're going is pretty unbelievable. People were getting, it was like a request to be a part of a community and they had to pay to be a part of it, but they were getting voice messages from me and they were AI voice notes, to the point that the security team at Peloton, they're the ones that told me about it, because like members were reporting it to them. And then the security team told me, and they're like, do you want to hear this recording? And I listened to it. It's the way I talk and intonate. And it makes me kind of nervous, like even how we're talking right now. People could take clips of our voices and turn it into us having a voice note conversation with somebody and then say, hey, for $300 a month, you can join my da-da-da-da-da program. And it's absolutely not that. And then it's the same thing. They can scam and shut down. And it's sad because it's preying on people who have not only faith and belief in like who we are and what we do. So that's affecting our brand and business, but they're taking advantage of like nice, lovely, hardworking people who've worked really hard for their money and just completely like eradicating any kind of hopes and dreams that they have to work with people like that. It's just so messed up.
It infuriates me when I tell you I am so protective of other people's money. I think having worked in finance for so much of my career, I am myopic on making sure that people are taken care of, and I'm a fiduciary. I have all my financial licenses. I am so responsible when it comes to people's money, which I think is part of why they can trust me with their credit cards and hundreds of thousands of dollars without me showing them a single thing that I'm going to do, because they know that I care about every penny, to the point that our entire season 1, which we've only had one season, but our entire season 1, I did not charge a single family. I made zero money off of those families. I wanted to do it with my heart. HGTV paid me a little bit, but it's probably 1/10 of what I should have gotten paid for those jobs. But I wanted to do it as a way of a sign of good faith and saying, thank you for being on the show. My team got paid, but I did not charge them. And so for them to now be using that against innocent people who are excited to be on the show and just literally just hurting them financially, it destroys me. So that was the start of the week, and that was the start of the stress sweat that smells like death. And then it just kind of kept going. So on Thursday, we had a flash flood.
Yeah, that hurricane that came up that caused the same one that gave me leak part 2.
We both got drenched. And I mean, it's to the point that the water in the streets gets so bad that all of the trash cans flipped over and there's just trash floating everywhere. Like the whole yard is under ocean because I live by the beach. And it's just really stressful because I know I'm going to have, a day and a half of just working in the yard, cleaning it all up, when I also need to be working inside my house, renovating that. And then this morning happened. So at about 4:30 a.m., I wake up and I hear really heavy panting. And it's a sound that like every mother of a dog knows, and instantly the adrenaline just flies through your body. And I wake up and Charlie, because I'm still sleeping on the couch, Charlie is on the floor next to me when normally she's on the couch with me. And instantly, like, I know something's wrong and I hear her breathing and she's like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, please tell me she's just having a nightmare and she's, doing that thing where their legs are moving in their sleep. And I turn on the light and I look at her gums and they're bright white. And I realize there's no blood circulating to her brain.
Yep.
And she has cardiomyopathy. So there's a bad heart condition. As her vet says, she's got a bad ticker, even though I think she has the greatest heart in the entire world. And so I immediately take her pulse and it's very faint. And I realize her body is having a hard time pushing the blood to all of her extremities. So it's just keeping it right around her heart to keep it beating. And I know I probably have minutes before she goes into complete cardiac arrest. So I give her Sotalol and Mexilitine. I force it down her throat. And when I'm putting the pills in her throat to try and help kickstart her heart, her gums are ice cold. Oh. Like there's no warmth in her head. And as soon as I felt like her cold gums, I was like, this is so scary. So I picked her up. I grabbed the keys. I forgot my cell phone. I didn't brush my teeth. I was in my pajamas with no bra. And I just get her in my car and we speed to the ER. And I was there with her for the last, I was there from like 4:30 or I guess 4:45 until right before we started filming this. And she is doing okay. But I have a baby that's turning 13 in a couple weeks. She is my eldest and she's the one that made me a mom and she is my entire world. And I know that, the day is going to come where I'm not going to have her anymore, but I will do everything in my power to keep her comfortable and make her life good until then. So that happened right up until like, I literally just drove, like she's at the ER right now. I just drove. There's nothing I can do for her. They're just observing her and have her on all sorts of drips right now and on a heating pad. And so as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go back and just lay with her. But it's just been like a what the actual fuck week.
Yep.
And I just I know that people go through these and you kind of feel like things happen in threes.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So, if this is my number 3, then I should be good. And Retrograde is out of my Gatorade next week. But I'm struggling a little bit. Yeah.
Shit, this is where I hate that we're not in the same place right now. We will be eventually, but like the hug I would give you, and please know I'm sending you one because as your friend, I've seen you go through such trauma with your dogs. And I know how they're your babies and they're your lifeline and they're incredible and they're the sweetest things. And so to always have these moments where it kills me for you because it's like so many wonderful things can happen. And then it feels like sometimes then something happens with Charlie or what else are you worrying about? And it just compounds. And so just know, 1, I love you to pieces. I'll say prayers for Charlie and that, you can get through this time, but also God forbid, but when that day does come, I will be there for you. and you got a support system. Because, oh my gosh, this is making me emotional. My brother texted me yesterday, and he's had his dog for 13 years, and he went through a lot, and he went through a divorce, and he's such an incredible guy, and he's so private, and he's an incredible dad. Like, my nephew is the sweetest, most intelligent, most loved little boy on the planet. Oh my God, I'm gonna get we're getting emotional. I'm gonna cry. And I'm just so proud of how my brother just stepped into the role of father and has gone through so much and is just so resilient and an amazing human being with a beautiful heart. And he texted me yesterday, and his dog's name is Bruno, and he texts me and he goes, "Hey, I think Monday we have to put Bruno down.
Oh, my heart.
He just can't walk anymore." And I know. And you know, my brother, we grew up with a white German Shepherd named Duke, who I loved so much. And I will get a German Shepherd again one day, probably because of it. And he had to be there to put Duke down when he passed. And he went through hip stuff and whatnot, and was an incredible dog. And then I was there. My family had a Yorkie named Motley Morrison, who was like a spunky little thing, who I swear Bowie and Motley, I feel like Bowie is Motley reincarnate, because they have some of the same gestures. Sometimes I call Bowie Motley because like they just acted the same. It's kind of wild that way. And my dad got really, really close to Motley, which he never thought he would. He was like a big dog guy. And then he falls in love with this like 8-pound Yorkie that we had for years. And that was a big moment in my dad and I's relationship, because we had to put Motley down. He was having heart issues. And that was a day when I realized, like, okay, I was almost more of the parent, and my dad was just such in shambles, and I had to kind of keep it together. And my dad and I will always be bonded through that. But it's something about pets, right? Like, they're with us their whole lives. And thank God for that on one hand. I'd rather take the emotional burden of having to mourn and grieve than them having to do it. Like, it gives peace in these situations, right? To remember that, like, to your pet, to your dog in particular, you are their whole life and you're there for all of it. God bless, best situation, right? And so being able to be there for them from the beginning to the end is, I think, such a wonderful, beautiful task. But it's hard. Oh my gosh, I'm not trying to make you cry more, sweetheart. I want to give you a hug.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's just so scary. You know, you love something so hard and it loves you back so hard, but you don't get to keep it forever. And it's, I think it's one of the most selfless loves, because when you fall in love with a person, you know, for the most part, you kind of assume they're always going to be there for your whole life. But when you become a parent to an animal, you're signing up for a definitive heartbreak. And the harder you love, the more you let them in, the harder that break is going to be. But yet you do it unapologetically, without guilt, without resentment, and you show up every day and you love those little things so hard, and they love you so hard back, and then you say goodbye, and then you have to be brave and do it all over again, because animals deserve our love. Gosh, it sounds so, like, I don't know, emotional, and I'm sorry for that. I want this to be a happy podcast, but I think that
this is
more
life
than happy. Yeah, we want it to be real and share our real lives and what we're going through. And I think social media can be so damaging when you compare yourself to people whose lives look like they're so perfect and so great, and their relationships are so amazing, and their hair is always perfect, and their house is always clean.
It's AI.
They always seem to have money, and like, no. I mean, maybe they are, but I'm not. Like, that's not me for sure. And by the way, Kendall, when you said you wish you were here so you could hug me, all I was thinking is I need to order a hazmat suit, because she does not want to hug me and get this like fight or flight stench anywhere on her person, because it is so strong right now.
I will bathe in it if it means I can hug you and make you feel better. I don't care. And then I'll go up to wherever your oils are. All down. Be like, it's fine. No one can smell it anyway. Oh gosh, I know. And I think that, look, this is what's important, right? Like, screw the way that the world tells us everyone has a better life or everything's going great for somebody. It's not. The world is complicated. It's really freaking difficult right now. Everyone is struggling. I I know someone, and not to go for another heavy story, but this is just life and a fact, and someone that I really care about. And, his daughter has been battling brain cancer for years, and they got a really, really awful set of news that the cancer's in her spinal fluid. And I went on social media and I'm like, look, like, no matter what people believe, nobody needs to believe the same things I believe when it comes to religion or faith or whatnot. I'm very much whatever works for you. I think that's beautiful. But I was like, look, prayers, thoughts, intentions for her, because I really do believe, and I've seen this happen when we're collectively thinking of somebody or putting energy towards something, it does have power. And so, yeah, I said that, and people were very polite and respectful back. And then I said, hey, like, if anybody has anything you want me to pray for you, or, think of you for something. And I went through it this morning and it floored me, like, how much people are going through in the world. The prognoses, the cancers, the struggling things with going through a transition in their relationship, or losing a job, or someone just got served divorce papers yesterday, or someone's kid is really struggling with their mental health and they're going to college and they're nervous. Like, everybody is dealing with something. Nobody's life is perfect and sunshine and rainbows. And it's so important to be empathetic to each other. Like, it's very easy to be angry. It's very easy to clap back. And it's usually some, type of deep-rooted angst that you're trying to get out. But it's so important to have these conversations and to normalize being supportive and talking about the uncomfortable things, because that's a part of life. And it's beautiful that we get through it together.
I feel like everybody deserves a friend who will sit in the mud with you. If you're down in the mud and you're just like, I'm in it and I need to sit here for a little while because I'm really sad or I'm really down. You want somebody not necessarily that's going to come there and just pull you out of it, but literally get in the mud and sit there with you and hug you through it. And that's the kind of friend you are. And I wish a Kendall on everybody.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual. And I think everybody deserves a Kaylee, and someone who always considers their needs and how to make their life better and joyful. And you're a giver. We're givers. And it's good. It's good that way. It's hard because when you give, you can get hurt more, but it's better than the alternative. And I think that's kind of, call back, but it is. It's choosing to live with the whole heart. And living with your whole heart means it's going to get broken, and it's going to get bruised, and it's going to get hurt sometimes.
Wholeheartedly is sponsored by BetterHelp.
I don't know about you, but one of my self-care non-negotiables, just like the fact I never skip leg day because those glutes need to stay gluting, but I also never skip therapy day. It's so important to keep my mental health as a top priority, no matter how much chaos is going on.
I could not agree with you more. Therapy is something that got me out of a really dark time, from my engagement ending to battling an eating disorder. So therapy is something I can honestly say has changed my life.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've been in it since my OCD diagnosis when I was 11, and I'm still in it now. But I think what's important about thinking about starting therapy is that you give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, and it's designed to be really convenient, flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill up a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And the best part, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, just in case it's not the perfect fit at the first go.
Like Kendall, never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/whole today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/whole. Okay, y'all, here's the deal. My most precious resource is my time. The best part about what I'm about to share is that it doesn't just save you time, it saves money. I'm talking about Cook Unity. If you have not been on their website and ordered your 4 to 16 meals per week, you are missing out. I just went on, and this week I ordered 8 meals, and the 3 I'm most excited about, I got the creamy jackfruit tikka masala, I got the Middle Eastern veggie wrap, and I got the green zug curry with tofu. It was really awesome to see that when I was going through selecting the meals, I could pick vegan, paleo, pescatarian, gluten-free, and the best part is that this is made and sourced by local chefs. Experience chef quality meals every week delivered right to your door. Go to cookunity.com/wholeheart or just enter the code wholeheart before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code wholeheart or going to cookunity.com/wholeheart.
You want a funny story though?
Please, God, yes. Amen. Do that now, go.
So speaking of Mercury and Gatorade, but in a way that only would happen to me, because I somehow find myself, particularly when I'm driving, in some weird ass scenarios. Like I've ended up stuck in the desert once with no cell phone reception and had to get bailed out by a really lovely art couple who was driving from 29 Palms to Joshua Tree. That's a story for another day. My friend Megan can attest. She's pale as snow. It was 128 degrees outside. We were idiots. It was my fault. I saw a soft shoulder and thought, oh, that's a cool spot to take photos, and got my Volkswagen Beetle stuck in the middle of the desert. The red Volkswagen Beetle. Yes, that was years ago. Stupid Kendall. Anyway, similar but not as bad. So I'm driving to DC, right? I'm talking to my mom on my phone. I have Shadow Man's car because I was just driving his car up really quick to get up to my place and then drive back because I had these like big meetings, right? So I'm driving back. I'm listening to podcasts. Shout out to my girl, Annie Elise, and her true crime podcast called Seriously, because it got me through this drive. However, it made me really paranoid. So when I stopped to pee at Chick-fil-A, which is usually like my stopping point, I literally thought everybody was going to try to like murder me, which not the greatest thing, but helpful in being alert. So anyway, I'm listening to true crime. I'm like deep involved in like all these murders, whatever. It's keeping me going. I was talking to my mom on the phone, so I missed the usual exit that I get off of when I get into DC to get to Shadow Man's house. So whatever, I'm driving. I missed it. I was like, here, let me hang up with you. Let me just listen to this podcast and get to him. So it starts like recalibrating my route, right? And it says to like veer right onto this other like part of the freeway. So I veer right. I am not kidding. I don't know what glitch happened in the universe or with Google Maps or Apple Maps, because I follow that and then the screen glitches and then it says that I'm on that freeway and I'm not, but I'm pulling off into some unmarked, like military base. I am not kidding you. There are men outside with machine guns or like semi-automatic guns. They're in like full fatigues, like tan colored fatigues. I somehow pulled off, I think, to the secret entrance by the Pentagon. I am not kidding you. I pull off and I'm like, oh my God, I can't back up because there's spike strips. Like I'm literally going into the secret entrance.
You went over the spike strips?
I said I couldn't back up because if I backed up, I would have like popped the tires.
That means you drove over them like you were on the camp, but you were on the...
Oh, yeah. Oh, I am on the secret military base or secret. I'm like, are there aliens here?
Kendall.
What in the Cadet Kelly? Amen. Oh my God. Great movie. Great freaky movie. Disney Channel. Yes. Anyway, so I start sweating. Speaking of getting nervous, and I pull into this like military base. These guys with guns are like staring at me. I'm like, I'm in the middle of DC. Like, where in the hell did I end up? I put the window down, and of course I'm flustered because it's not my car. So I have to figure out how to put the window down because it's not mine.
You the cortisol smell. You put the window down, and he was like, whoa.
He's like, whoa, did you kill something? Because it smells like it. And then to make matters worse, I put the window down, and it's my friend Annie on her podcast, and she goes, so then when he murdered his wife, and it like blasts it because I was listening to it loud. So the guy looks at me, this like military guy, and he looks at me. I was like, hi. I'm so sorry. I'm in the wrong place. Where am I? I start like getting flustered and he goes, hi, ma'am. And he's like, see that red line right there? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, just follow that red line. Do not take your tires off of that red line. Follow that with the left-hand side of your car, peel out, and then careful because the on-ramp's really short, back onto the freeway. And I was like, okay. He's like, but again, do not veer off of the red line. And I was like, what the hell is going to happen if my tires are not on the red line? So I start driving down this like it's like a little baby cul-de-sac by this like guard station where all these guys with guns are, and they're staring at me. I get there. There's one of those like Humvee cars, you know, the military Humvees where it's like a truck bed in the back and it's covered with like a tarp. There's that. And then there's this big tent, it looks like a bigger version of like the back of the Humvee with something hidden in it. And there's a guy, like there's a couple cars in front of the big tent. And as I'm turning, the guy in the Humvee flashes his lights like, yeah, what's up? What's good? Like, I think being like, you're okay. Because he could probably tell I was nervous because I was going really slow. And I'm just like following this red line with my car or with Shadow Man's car to peel out of there. I go over another set of spike strips. And then I just like veer off and get back onto the freeway. I don't know what I found, but there is some kind of, I mean, it was right by the Pentagon.
It's like you drove yourself into a parallel universe.
Yes, I drove myself. Literally, I thought like I was going to get shot down by some type. Like I was just in like a war zone, it felt like. I mean, everybody was very pleasant. I'm sure they were laughing. They're like, who is this idiot blonde chick? I'm wearing a sports bra. Like, I'm like, hee. You know what I mean? It's probably really stupid.
I just can't imagine how that's so accessible just from one turn off of the interstate. That's
what was weird, because I was supposed to, I guess the freeway was supposed to, like, you know how it says like stay to the far right? So I stayed to the far right.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know, maybe it was me and I veered too far to the right. It was not marked. You would have no idea. And literally you can't back up, because the second that you peel off, you're on the property. And there's like all these military guys there. So sure enough, Shadow Man calls me because he's watching my location and he goes, babe, are you good? Like, where were you? I'm like, you will not believe it. I found a secret entrance to something. He goes, you were kind of close to the Pentagon. I wonder if it was like some other setup over there. I was like, yeah, there were guys with guns and there was a Humvee and they told me to drive on this red line. Yeah. Leave it to me to find places I shouldn't go with my car, because that's pretty much guaranteed if you're a passenger and I'm driving.
I will always be our driver. Don't you worry.
Okay. Do you want to go to the Instagram questions?
Yes.
About how they deal with crazy weeks or stressful times?
Basically, we already knew this week was hella chaotic for us. And so we are actually looking for advice from you guys about what you do when you feel like the world is just spinning around you. And we had so many amazing responses. This is on our Instagram, which is @wholeheartedlypod. And basically, I would say the majority of people said the same thing. And then there were a couple one-offs that I thought were great. But the majority, just to summarize it, a lot of people listened to worship music. A lot of people went outside barefoot and just wanted to feel grounded in nature. A lot of people worked out and took a Peloton ride with Kendall. A lot of people said that they spent time with their dog and hugging their dog, or cleaning and cooking and all those kind of therapeutic things, which I totally vibe with. But we're going to read a couple that were a little different and share this.
So I just came up on this one and I kind of love it because I have a visual. Angela said, and she sent like a laughing emoji. She goes, chopping veggies is so relaxing to me. And all I can see is like Angela getting after a carrot or like celery and just whacking that cutting board, you know, and getting a little rage out. I respect that, Angela. I respect it. Chop those veggies when you're stressed.
That stresses me out because I'm scared I'm going to chop off a finger, and I'm not a chef like Kendall.
Like, I'm the same way. My brother chopped his finger off. So like the tip of it. Oh God. Okay, you want a funny joke? Sorry.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
We made that joke in the family for so long. Sorry, Ryan Man. Anyway, so he was working in high school at this place that had, it was just like a sports bar, kind of like a neighborhood barbecue spot. And he was chopping the chicken so that they could bread it and make it chicken fingers. Pun intended. And so sure enough, he was chopping, he wasn't looking, and he just nicked like the tip of his finger. And so we kept calling them every time we'd go back to go visit him at work. I would want to order chicken and my mom would be like, no. Remember, they're chicken finger tips. You're not allowed to order that anymore, just in case. It was a joke. But yeah, be careful with knives. Make sure you do the claw and your knuckles are touching the top part of the blade and you'll never chop your fingers off. You got to do the claw.
Great advice right there. One that I read that I loved, somebody said, is I asked my husband for a really long hug. And I loved that because it showed that they were allowing their partner to see that they were not okay and then asking for their help. And I think that's strong. And I think that's a testament to their closeness. And I think that anybody that can have a relationship like that, where they just go to the other person and say, hey, I need this right now, is a really open and honest, communicative relationship. And I would say that that's something Dale and I are really good about, is sometimes we'll be like, hey, I'm at 10% right now. And that means the other person needs to give 90 because we can't do 50-50. And sometimes I'm like, I'm at 5%. And he's like, I'm at 5% too. And then it's like, okay, great. Then we just will give each other space and not get mad at each other for not being super talkative or affectionate. And I need my space. And so we're really good at communicating where we're at and kind of what we need.
I think that's a great concept, though, is being able to give it a numerical value for how much capacity you have and communicating that with each other, because it removes the expectation that somebody needs to provide something without you telling them either what you need or what you don't have.
And I want to take a moment to thank everybody, because the feedback you give us, particularly on Apple in the podcast comment section, I go through it every single morning when I wake up and I read all of the latest comments that have been added. Kendall, how many times have I screenshotted?
It's the best way to wake up.
I text Kendall my favorite ones every day, and so that she can wake up to something really positive. But the comments that you guys leave on our episodes are so incredibly sweet and uplifting, and it makes me want to keep doing this. It makes me want to keep being honest and showing up and sharing. And I just feel like we're building a community of such beautiful, kind, genuinely good souls, and it helps me believe in humanity again, especially when I'm having weeks like this. So thank you guys so much for the likes, but especially the comments. And no, this is not an empty ploy to try and get you to add comments. I just want to thank you, because
she is fishing for a review. No, I'm kidding.
Sure, if you want to leave one, great. But what you've already done is more than enough for my heart. And I'm sending them to Kendall like they're never going out of style.
I know. I love it. It truly, it does really mean a lot, and to hear from you guys. And yeah, I second that testament. Building this special community is just, it's soul building. Faith in humanity is becoming restored. So thank you guys for that. Okay, are you ready for this? This is what she said. She didn't put her name on here, but her handle is just me. And she goes, I imagine myself in an orange jumpsuit, and then I remember that orange is not my color.
I love this.
She's like, I could be in jail and I could be wearing an orange jumpsuit and I wouldn't look flattering in it. So you know what? At least I'm not there.
I think there's a lot of merit to this, because if you're trying to calm yourself down because you're in a really like a chaos storm and your cortisol is flying, how do you calm yourself when the world's spinning around you? Think about where you could be, which is in an orange jumpsuit behind bars with a structured day that is not anything you want to be doing and food you don't want to be eating. And then instead you're in your home, even if the roof might be leaking, you're in your home, you're in your cozy pajamas, you're ordering what you want tonight for food. You're living, you're making the life that you want to have and not the one that's being forced. And so just picture yourself in an orange jumpsuit and you'll probably feel a little bit better in what you're wearing right now.
Right? The power of a reframe. Truly, that does go very, very far.
So I think it's about time. Oh, we got to think. Okay. I already have 2 ideas, and Kendall, I'll let you pick two ideas for a song out. Either World Spins Madly On by the Weepies, because I feel like the world has just been spinning around us, but it does go on and we will continue. So World Spins Madly On, or Retrograde by Pearl Jam.
Oh, I'm torn. I'm partial to Pearl Jam.
Retrograde it is. So episode 6, Retrograde, what the actual fuck is happening in the world. Sorry for my language, but it's been one of those weeks. I am unfiltered and raw.
Sorry, if there's little ears, earmuff them.
So we just need to finish up here with what we are working on this week. And what I'm working on is actually totally unrelated to all of the things we just discussed, because I just feel like we talked a lot about how to feel better when you're not doing okay, but I need to focus on something that is just a little detached from mental health and just something that is going to make me a little bit better, which is actually about sun protection. So as I'm getting older, I just get really worried about, like skin cancer and having damage to my skin. And I'm a runner, so I'm in the sun all the time. So I just ordered a bunch of UPF, like 80 level UPF long sleeve running shirts with high collars. And I've started putting sunscreen on my neck and my chest. And I've started running like at 6 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. so that it's still dark out. And I'm just being really conscious starting this week of how to take better care of my skin. And so that is my personal little what I'm working on, is trying to be more sun aware.
That's great. I should take a couple beats from that. We're not going to talk about the fact that I used
oil.
Maybe, yeah. It's so messed up because we were raised like Italian. Everybody just bakes. It's probably not the greatest thing at all, especially because you think your skin can. This is not saying that you should do that. Do not do that. I have learned my lesson. Also, since wearing sunscreen, the way that my face has slowed down in aging is amazing. So it definitely works. We are pro sunscreen over here, most definitely. So on that note, what I'm working on this next week, truly, I'm kind of with you. I feel a little bit overwhelmed by some of the expectations I've put on myself to kind of, have it all together and be able to manage all of the new stresses and new opportunities and kind of switch energies between these meetings and kind of be everything for everybody. It's very overwhelming. This week, I just want to put the priority on getting back to my fun self. Like, I hate to say that, but I feel like I've been so business oriented and focused on like moving everything forward that I've forgotten the joy of having fun. And literally last night, Shadow Man and I had his friends over, and his friends that's so fun. I joke, I call them the UN. All of his friends are from all over the world. Like, it's the greatest thing. So everyone, was just in Spain, or, they're Swedish or this. And so we had these great, really present conversations last night and just laughed and talked about life and all the silly things. And it made me recognize, dang, I've been so in work mode. I haven't prioritized just being present and having fun and getting to be like silly Kendall. Because to be honest, in like the last year with how much has gone on, I kind of got into business mode all the time where she took a backseat, and I miss her because she's really fun and she's a little nutty. So I would like to get back to silly Kendall this week. That's the goal.
I love that. What we're trying to say here is you can't shit in Kendall's cereal. You can't put mercury in my Gatorade, because we are going to find our silly sun protected selves again, and life is going to get better, and there is a path forward. We're just slowly crawling there.
Crawling on our knees. But you know what? Crawling is forward and through.
We learned you don't want to go backwards because you'll hit the spikes, and we don't need blown tires. So just keep going forward. Follow that red line and you'll be okay.
Follow the red line and do not make eye contact with the military man. You're good. You're good.
And don't smell Gailey this week because she's rough. But we love you guys. We appreciate you. And you can follow us at Wholeheartedly Pod. Kendall's at Kendall Tool. I'm at Gailey Alex. And every time you guys show up for us, it puts a little sunlight back in our day. So thank you for that from the bottom of our
whole hearts. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next week, and hopefully we will have a little bit more positive things to share.
And if not, that's okay too, because this is real as shit. All right, love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey girlies, I'm Cody Rigsby. And I'm Andrew Chappelle. We're here to announce our brand new podcast, Tactful Pettiness, now on Podcast One. We have a lot of opinions. Flip-flops in New York City? You don't love yourself.
If I'm not seated, I'm not tipping.
Do I want to see a picture of your baby?
No. If I have to scroll more than 10 seconds, he's not cute.
Settling gets you an ugly boyfriend. So we're going to help you out.
We sure are, because we have the life expertise.
We have mastered throwing shade with intention.
We are in the business of helping you find and keep your man.
And we're here to teach you the fine art of tactful pettiness.
Join us each week as we traverse the world of pop culture,
chat with our celebrity friends,
and show you how to accept yourself without taking life too seriously.
Get new episodes of Tactful Pettiness with me, Cody Rigsby.
And me, Andrew Chappelle.
Every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Stay petty, bestie.